Hey everyone, this is Ryan Massey, and we're going to uh, talk about the recap of Thursday in a little assignment help to clarify some things. Um, a brief introduction, what we covered last time, which was a brief introduction to other ways of querying the DOM, that such as like we've been using the element get element by ID, but we used the query selector and get elements by class name. Um, Then we worked with our first example. We got into querying the elements and getting the text of those elements to display on the console. The second example that we did was to change the contents of those boxes through to using the DOM and the tools there to change the name, change the phone number, change the email. Just through I did it through the Google Chrome console thing there. The third example was we created an element, then we set the attributes of the and properties of that element on the page, and then finally we added that new element to the page with the text in there. That's what we finished up with example 3. Today we are going to explore these methods and explain how some how they can help you with the assignment and the things to keep in mind as you're working with them. All right, add event listener. The I've used this method a gazillion times before with other projects, and I haven't had this issue come up yet. But this is the first time it's happened. So what was happening is when you click to add a new card, the page would refresh and not keep the new element on the page. So that got me to researching, and I found that there was some about I thought it was something to do with this use capture part of the add event listener. I was like, this is bubbling up, bubbling down, something like that. I will refer you to the Stack Overflow that I found that kind of explains that better. Um, the solution, however, for this the actual assignment is in the button you will add an on click and put in return false with a semicolon. It will then stop it from refreshing the page and allow the rest of the code to work properly. Um, so a little bit about the event. Event can be a hover, a click, double click, drag, uh, so forth. Those sort of events they can program for. The function is the name of the function you want to call without the parentheses at the end. And then use capture, I've always left it to false, but as some I'm finding is that the false is not quite working the way I thought it should in this case, so but so I put false there. Um, like with this example, we have query for the add button, hashtag add buttons, that's an ID there. And then I have a sign it button to add new card and put it to false. And with the click, being a single click, it should work. And then it should call that function, add new card, put all the information in there, and voila, we'll be done. And other things that we will be covering later. Document.querySelector. This method returns the first current element the first element that's matching that selector that you're wanting to select. You can pass in the HTML element, the ID, with a hashtag in front of it. Or for the class, you can look for with a dot there. And there should be quotes there and there around the string, like these examples here. For example, one that we're searching for the HTML element body, as there's just the body tag, then that's all that we type in there. If you want to look for the card holder that is holding the, it's going to return the card holder that it finds. And if you want to find the first card, you can look through that sample through with the dot card there. It gives you the first card of the first element with that card class. Query selector all. This method returns a static array of current elements that are matching the selector that you're wanting to select. So you can either use an HTML element or a class in this method. IDs don't work because you need the IDs have to be unique in order for that to work. So you have to have so that would not work for query selector all in that case. The first example is to select all of the div, which are going to be the card holder, the three cards. So that'd be 4 divs there. Or you can look for just the 3 cards we have on this page, which are here. A little note is the document is the whole web page. You can narrow your search by querying for the ID of a group of cards, for example, like this card holder that's holding this collection here. You can then query for the card holder there, and that one should not be there. And then using the EX3 as the new document, or the new part you're searching for, this will then only return the 3 cards here that you're looking for. It's to help, because let's say you have 2 sets of card holders and you don't want to mix the 2 sets of cards together. That'd be where you might need to separate your data that you're working with. Get elements by class name. You can just, like the previous query selector all, it returns a static array of the current elements matching that class name that you're wanting to select. You can pass in the string the class name, but you need quotes around it. Like in this example here, you need the quotes, and you can pass in the card class or any class that you've created you want to search for. And this get elements by class name works the exact same way as this second example down here, narrowing. You can query for the card holder and then do your class search on the subset of your cards there. With that being said, we got through the get elements by class name, and that's your example here with the card there. Get elements by tag name. You can pass in an HTML element. So this is going to refer to headings, paragraphs, divs, bands, uh, images, so forth. All of those elements are actual HTML elements. You can use this method to help you find those parts. Create element. This is where the fun begins. This method creates a new element in memory and returns it to the variable you assign it to. So here we are in example 1, we are creating a div, and it's going to store in ex1 there. Then you modify ex1 with the set attribute and the other methods later, which we'll see. So if you want to create a span, you do document.create element with span in parentheses there. Or if you want to create a paragraph, you can use the p tag. So you create element p, and that will give you a new element to work with. Set attribute. Naturally, set attribute is where we can set the CSS values, for example, for class or ID. You can pass in the property, which would be the class or ID, and then the value that you want to pass in. So, for example, with this new element set attribute, we pass in the class property, and we're giving it the class name there. Same with ID. You can use set attribute multiple times for that element you're wanting to modify, and then you can do it before or after you append the append child, which is next. The append child adds a newly created element from the previous layer, which was inserted in the page. So in this case, we want to create a holder that holds the cards, or it can hold the paragraph, it can hold anything. So in this case, the holder is the body tag. We want to create a paragraph tag, set attribute of some class, and then append the new element to the holder. And then that's where the new paragraph would show up on the page. These are the methods that you will need to know how to use during the assignment. Note that element does not have to be the body. The element can be like if you query for the table, and then you append to the table, or if you need to append to a div, you can append it to a div. Know the structure of the page you're working with to know all the pieces that you need to make it work. If you still have questions and need further help, I'm here. Feel free to email me, and I will be glad to get back with you as soon as I can. Thanks, and have a great weekend, and good luck with the assignment.